guys, it's Kayla and I am here for you today with a book review, shockingly. I always say that I want to do these and I never do. But today's is a little bit more exciting for me because today we are going to be talking about Girl, Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, which came out well, when you're seeing this on Sunday, so almost 2 weeks ago when you guys are seeing this. Yeah, if you don't know who Rachel Hollis is, you clearly haven't been watching my videos because I talk about her pretty much nonstop now. She is the CEO of Chic Media, so the Chic site website. She has her own YouTube channel. She's written a fiction series. She's written a cookbook, 2 cookbooks, one of them isn't out yet. And then this is her new baby, Girl, Wash Your Face. I was like super pumped for this book to come out because I adore her. She just like tells it as it is. She has the cutest family. She created her own business on a high school diploma, which is super impressive for anyone to do. And so she's just definitely one of those people that just inspires. And so I was really excited to read this book. And reading this book definitely inspired me. So a little bit about it. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, so it does have a bonus chapter. So I would suggest buying this edition if you want an extra chapter. It also is at Target and on Amazon. I bought the audiobook through Audible on Amazon. So I have that as well, but there, you can also buy just the normal version at Target. Some Targets aren't getting it until... Oh, actually, by the time you're seeing this, all Targets should have it, in theory. Because you should be watching this on the 18th. So, go to Target and get it, or go to Barnes & Noble, or order it online. Anyway, so this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. It has a bonus chapter, but I will talk about that. So, this book, each chapter is based on a lie that she told herself or had been told. The subtitle of this book is Stop Believing the Lies About Who You Are So You Can Become Who You Were Meant to Be. So it's all about lies that she believed in her life and how she overcame them to become the woman she is today. So those lies being something else will make me happy. I'll start tomorrow. I'm not good enough. I'm better than you. Loving him is enough for me. No is the final answer, which that chapter was really awesome. We'll talk about that later. I'm getting through all of these. I'm bad at sex. I don't know how to be a mom. I'm not a good mom. I should be further along by now. Other people's kids are so much cleaner, better organized, more polite. I need to make myself smaller. I'm going to marry Matt Damon. I'm a terrible writer. I will never get past this. I can't tell the truth. I am defined by my weight. I need a drink. There's only one right way to be. I need a hero. And then the bonus chapter is Good Girls Don't Hustle. So as you guys can tell, not all of those chapters obviously relate to my life as a 23-year-old single woman who just recently graduated from college and lives in her mom's house. So obviously not all of these chapters relate to me, but I still think that it was valuable to read, and a lot of the chapters related to me, so that was good. But I also think it's a book that I'll come back to over the years, and I think I'm going to buy another copy just to have one that isn't marked up, because I marked up this book quite a bit, and I know that I'll read it again and do it more. But I thought that even the chapters that don't relate to me were very interesting to read, and things that I definitely think that when I am in different positions in my life that I'll want to come back to and read, which was really awesome. So I just kind of want to go through some of this. I also have, if you guys saw my 10 Ways I'm Changing My Life video, you know about this notebook, which is where I am taking notes of things that inspire me, push me to work harder, help me towards my vision of my life. And I have a couple pages on Girl Wash Your Face in here that I'll come back to. I didn't really plan out this video, so who knows what all we're going to talk about, but I'm just going to kind of come back to things. There are a couple times in the book where she asks you to do things for yourself. And so I have done some of that, and I might share some of those things with you, just to kind of help you see how this book can help you kind of process your life and move forward. So we're just going to kind of go through it chapter by chapter of the ones that really resonated with me. So the first chapter I want to go to is the introduction, which is like really crazy. But the first thing I underlined in this book is you and only you are ultimately responsible for who you become and how happy you are. And I think that's something that a lot of people forget sometimes, is that they think other people can make them better and happier, and no one else can control what you do in your life except yourself. And I think that's a good reminder to have in, like, just at the start of the book. And this is, you know, in her letter she wrote just to kind of convince people to buy it, right? And I think that is something that would convince a reader to pick up this book, that if I didn't know who she was and I read that, I probably would have picked up this book anyway. Also, the title is just great. So I probably would pick it up just because of that. But yeah, so I'm just going to flip through. I also liked in the introduction, your life is supposed to be a journey from one unique place to another. It is not supposed to be a merry-go-round that brings you back to the same spot over and over again. Yeah, I think that's kind of self-explanatory. I think you guys know how I've been feeling kind of like in a rut, and so I think it's one of those things, you gotta get off the merry-go-round. You gotta move forward. Alright. So, something else will make me happy was the first chapter. And this kind of just talked about her life and moving on, and being happy and unhappy, and the difference between being unhappy and depressed, which there are huge differences in that, and, you know, things that, and finding things that make you happy and, you know, doing them. Like, there's no point in doing things that don't make you happy. And that it's a choice. You have to choose to be happy, grateful, and fulfilled. If you make that choice every single day, regardless of where you are or what's happening, you will be happy. And I think that's something important to think about too, is that, like, nothing determines your happiness but yourself and your ability to accept what's in your life and do things that make you happy. So I really enjoyed that. And then this is a quote that comes up a lot in the book, in just things that she says, and that I think is super important, and that is, comparison is the death of joy. That your life is not supposed to be like anybody else's, and so you should stop thinking it should be. And I think that's important. Line number 2 was I'll start tomorrow. And it talks a lot about promises you make to yourself, and how it's so easy to break a promise to yourself to be able to do something for someone else. But if you're breaking promises to yourself, how are people going to trust you? How are you going to trust yourself? And that the person you should be dedicated to first is yourself and your own well-being and the things you need to do, which I think was really important. I also really loved this quote. Our society makes plenty of room for complacency or laziness. We are rarely surrounded by accountability. We're also rarely surrounded by sugar-free vanilla lattes, but when I really want one, I somehow find a way to get one. So it's just making sure you're holding yourself accountable to yourself, not just to other people. So I really liked that chapter. And it just reminds you, like, you can't possibly do everything. You need to think carefully about the commitments you make to make sure that you're not overbooking yourself and taking away from the promises you make to yourself by doing things for other people. Not that, like, you shouldn't do things for other people, but, like, you also should be committed to yourself first. The line number 3 was I'm not good enough, and it talks about how she was a workaholic, which I think was really important because, I think a lot of women just drive themselves into their jobs, and think accomplishing is what's most important and don't take time to slow down. She talks about her Bell's palsy in this, and how, you know, it was brought on by stress, and how you need to take time to balance being stressed and working really hard with taking care of yourself, and not just push to be the best at the detriment to your own well-being. Chapter 4 is called I'm Better Than You, and it's kind of about how women judge each other, which I think was really important to read because women do, and that's just a big part of life, and it's not cool. So she talks about, like, in high school and the experiences as an adult and how she judged people, and I think it's important to remember that women should be building each other up, not beating each other down. Even if you never say something to someone, if you think it, that's not good enough. The next chapter is about her relationship with her husband. Loving him is enough for me. They had a pretty rough start to their relationship, and she tells the story. What I like, she tells this story, the beginning of the chapter, without saying that it's her husband she's talking about, which I thought was really powerful. And like, all of a sudden when you realize that she's talking about Dave, it's like, wow. It kind of makes it, you remember that like people change, people evolve, and so not that the chapter was about like Dave growing and like it's about, you know, her growing, but it's interesting to read how both of them changed over the course of the like first rough year of their relationship. Chapter 6, no is the final answer. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. No is only an answer if you accept it. And it kind of just talks about how she hustled her way to the top, and didn't take no for an answer, and that's how she got to where she is. Okay. I want to like talk you through like all these chapters kind of without giving you too much. And then she goes on to talk about her marriage and her family, which were chapters obviously that like don't 100% resonate with me right now, obviously, as I am not married with children, but they're things that I know that I'll want to come back to as I get older, and they were all great chapters. Also talk more about comparing yourself to other people. So let's get past all that mom stuff, which was all great, and if you are a mom, you should read it. But for me, it wasn't super relevant, but I still read it and I still loved it. Chapter 10, I should be further along right now. Just talks about like not feeling like you're doing what you're supposed to do, and how you should be further along. But it just, you know, reminds you to remember that, you know, timing is what it's supposed to be, and you will get there when you need to be. She talks a lot about setting goals, not time limits, which I've talked about how when I set goals, I like them to be time-oriented in some capacity, but there are some goals that can't be. There are some like overarching huge goals that are long-term goals that you can't say, I'm going to do this in 5 years and expect it to be done. I think there are short-term goals you can set with time limits, but big, overarching, huge goals you cannot set with time limits, and she talks a lot about that, about how big dreams shouldn't have expiration dates. You shouldn't give up on a goal just because you don't accomplish it in, you know, 5 years, 10 years. And then she also, these are the end of the chapter ends with the things that help me section. And the first one of this chapter was making a list, listing out everything you've accomplished to date, which I did. I have a whole page of it in my notebook, just like listing out things that I've accomplished, just to remind yourself that like you are doing good things even if you don't think you're achieving your big goals. You've done great things. Like, I have a bachelor's degree, which is something that some people don't accomplish ever. That sometimes it's too expensive, it's too difficult, it's something that some people can't accomplish in their life, and I've done that, which I think is super important and special. I got a job in my industry before I even graduated, which for what I majored in is not a very common occurrence. I've directed one of my dream plays before I even graduated college. I went to Europe at age 17. One of my big accomplishments for me was I completed Vlogmas that wasn't just daily vlogs. Like, it's just thinking about the things that are important to you that you have accomplished. And just remembering that you have done good things, which I think is awesome and inspiring and important to think about. Moving on. This is going to be a long video. This chapter was about kids, but it talked a lot about embracing your chaos too, not just like, you know, the fact that your kids aren't the same as other people's kids, but it's talked about in life, embracing the chaos of your life, which I enjoyed. Chapter 12 was I need to make myself smaller, and in this one she talked quite a bit about her relationship with her father, which was important. And then she also talked about how when she goes to conferences with like other entrepreneurial women who have like, you know, these like side hustles or whatever, they talk about their like careers that are like huge deals as just being side hustles or hobbies, when they're building empires without even knowing it, but they're belittling themselves and making it seem so much smaller, and how you should like take ownership of the big awesome things you're accomplishing. And I liked some of her things that helped me in this chapter were willingness to offend. And so it's just kind of embracing that not everyone's going to approve of what you do, but you have to be who you are. And also making a bold statement. For hers, it was talking about her tattoo, and I think in a way that also kind of brought me back to when I got my tattoo and how mine's a little bit more of a bold statement about who I want to be and who I am, which is awesome. Chapter 13, I'm going to marry Matt Damon. It talked about having dreams and motivating yourself and how it's not realistic to like dream, to set a goal of like marrying a celebrity, but like it's okay to have dreams and have fantasies, right? Like if it keeps you motivated. And it talked about different ways she keeps herself motivated, breaking goals down, and that, yeah, just having, like she talked about, Mindy Kaling's cardio fantasies that she's talked about. And so it's just like stories to like entertain yourself, like to think of like this like dream world. And so some of the ones she lists were like being best friends with your hero or vacationing with celebrities, Hemsworth brothers, just things like that, that you can just like, that it's okay to have like fantasies as long as you like don't delude yourself that those are like actual goals. And to make sure that you are writing down all your actual goals. Maybe not your Matt Damon related ones, but like your actual realistic goals. And then about creating vision boards, which I'm going to be doing a video on next week. So stay tuned. I'm probably filming it right now as you're watching this video. Chapter 14 was about being a terrible writer, was the lie. And my biggest takeaway from this was, and she wrote it like 3 times in this chapter, is someone else's opinion of me is none of my business. And how you have to worry about how you think about yourself and not what others think, or else you are just going to completely shut down. It's what you think of yourself that really is going to matter in the long run. So someone else's opinion of you is none of your business. It talks about how she stopped reading book reviews because it really got her down, and then she didn't want that to impact her love of writing and how she wanted to write. And for me, I mean, I obviously am not a writer, though I would one day like to write a book. But I, you know, thought of it more in terms of like my theater work and of YouTube, and just like, I do this for me. And if I believe what I'm putting out is good, I don't need to worry about what comments are saying or what other people think, because people are allowed to have their own opinions. That's fine. I have opinions of people. Trust me. So yeah, so just talk about how you have to decide you care more about creating and putting it out into the world than how it will be received. So that was what was important. Just talking about, yeah, you do it for yourself and that you don't need it to make money to be valuable. Chapter 15 was about I will never get past this, and that's about like traumatic experiences in your life and how those are periods of your life, but you can move past them. 16, I can't tell the truth. So this was about like the things you hold in your head, but she really talked about her adoption journey, leading up to adopting her daughter, which was it was a lot more than that, and how she is finally telling this story. And it was extremely vulnerable, and I don't know, I haven't gotten to that part in the audiobook, but she's talked about how she cries during the audiobook because she read it. I have a feeling it's this chapter. Chapter number 17, the lie, I am defined by my weight. And again, talks about her childhood and her emotional eating and how she got past that, which was awesome. And this chapter she also talked about like having mantras that you have posted around, and saying to yourself just to remind yourself of who you are. Chapter 18's lie was I need a drink, and it talks about self-medicating with alcohol and how you need to find other ways to cope, which I think is probably important. And it's talks about learning about habits. She recommended a book in there, which I want to buy and read. But yeah, so just talk about kind of addiction in a way. Not to the fact that she wasn't like saying at all that she was like an alcoholic or anything, but it just talks about like things you make habitual or get addicted to. 19, there's only one right way to be. And this talks about like her, when she moved to LA and like discovered, you know, the world was bigger than her small town she grew up in. And just accepting difference and embracing the variety of our world, which was awesome. Chapter number 20, the lie was I need a hero. And it talked about how you just need to like be your own hero. And so, yeah, only you have the power to change your own life. You don't need a hero. You have the power. And I thought that chapter was really motivational. Wow, I can't talk today, you guys. And then the last chapter, the bonus chapter, was Good Girls Don't Hustle, which I thought was awesome. As someone who really likes to like work hard, and I have, you know, a million different things going on in my life at one time. It's just reminded, like, you're allowed to work hard, you're allowed to hustle, you're allowed to have goals, big goals, and work hard. And my favorite quote was, "Hustle is my love language," which I really liked. So, I know I just talked about this for a really long time, and you may feel like you don't need to read the book because of what I just said, but trust me, you do. That was barely the tip of the iceberg. Excuse me, but I really love this book. I'm the kind of like total nerd who just likes to read like self-help books like this, inspirational books, but this one is definitely a favorite, and I highly encourage you guys to go and buy it. I'm going to link this edition down below as well as the Amazon link, so that you can go pick that up, but also if you see it in Target or Barnes & Noble, pick it up. It's worth the read. But yeah, if you liked this video and would like to see more book reviews in the future, give this video a big old thumbs up. If you have a suggestion for a book I should read and talk about, write it down in the comments, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!